I can't believe it took as long as it did to make this kind of Star Wars game. Jedi Fallen Order takes place 5 years after the Order 66 executed pretty much most of the Jedi Order, rendering dead to all. There were survivors, of course, but very, very few, one of which was our main antagonist, Cal. He explores planets with the Mantis crew, uncovers secrets of the past, and tries to find any remaining traces of the Order, as he can while also on the run from the ever-dangerous Empire. This gameplay is just so smooth. Seamless combat with 3 different fighting styles available for your saber. You can go classic single blade, dual wield, or double side Darth Maul style. A mixture of melee and force abilities makes for some fun battles and animations. Force could also be used for puzzles. I mean, let's be real here. Fallen Order is just Star Wars Uncharted, and it works. The difficulty is still high, which makes a bit of sense as Cal was never fully trained and naturally grows stronger through his journey. It really keeps from a Jedi character from being OP, because let's be real, fully trained Jedi are basically unbeatable except when going against other Jedi. The Stormtroopers got nothing on us, man. The exploration is just too fun. There's a finite number of planets you visit with this infinite galaxy, but it's all worth it as you are forced to return to planets multiple times as you progress the story and earn more skills. There's also no fast travel, so kind of like in Redemption 2, you're forced to learn the lay of the land and appreciate the level design. My favorite planets have got to be the Chewbacca's home planet, and that planet that Darth Maul is from. Especially Darth Maul's home. There's so much lore to unpack, and it's great. And when you first arrive in Chewie's home, bro, it's being attacked by AT-ATs, and you have to climb up and pilot one. Coolest Star Wars experience ever. Ending with a fun little Darth Vader boss, you end the story really satisfied. It's Star Wars through and through, and if you're a gamer that loves Star Wars, this is for you. I am finishing up the Hunter x Hunter remake right now, so here's a replay of my thoughts on the original anime. Hunter x Hunter has been on my list for a while as an anime considered one of the greatest of all time. Watching these greatest of all time animes has been 50-50. Like Berserk and Evangelion, I just didn't vibe with them completely, while Full Metal Alchemist and Code Geass were just perfection to me. Hunter x Hunter turned out to be a positive experience for me, though later I'll tell you why I should have watched the remake instead of the original. But yeah, Hunter x Hunter was solid, and I really enjoyed it. All the characters were interesting. That's it. That's all any story needs to anchor my attention. There's really not too much to say about Gon, and that's only because if you watch the show, literally every character has at least 2 inner monologues about how special he is. I mean, they're right, of course. Gon is just insanely likable, and I love the way he looks at the world and solves problems. He really is unique amongst everyone else in the show. Kurapika? I want to know more about him. I'll get into it later, but Kurapika is extremely clever, and when him and Gon put their minds together, they're unstoppable. Leorio is actually interesting because he really got through the exam through sheer dumb luck. But it's fun to have a charismatic guy like him around, acting like the dad of the group. I would have loved to see him grow stronger, as he had potential to go from underdog to beast. Kahlua was by far the most interesting character out of the main 4. His arc and development was so dimensional given his background. I really loved that moment when he wanted to kill that injured bear cub. That was a huge turning point in his character, as a child who was raised to be a killing machine being taught that there's more to life than just death. When it comes to antagonists, no question, Hisoka was the most interesting, With his abilities, he just seemed untouchable, and that made him scary. Not to mention his psychopathic aura and creepy smile. He's definitely one of those characters that's not on one side or the other, just his own. So I can totally imagine him killing his allies for fun, or helping our protagonist to benefit him. Going into the story, the Hunter exam took about half the series to complete, at least with the original, and it was a fun concept for sure. Trick Tower and the Hunger Games portions were the most fun to watch, and the final exam played out in a very interesting way. The Hunter exam also emphasized the tone of the story, which is quite polarizing. In my mind, I constantly compared Hunter x Hunter to The Last Airbender, at least when it came to tone, but it's way darker than The Last Airbender, given the violent natures of the world. I mean, I know Last Airbender had the whole Holocaust thing, but we never really saw, like, there was just a certain level of violence that they didn't pass just because it was a Nickelodeon show. Hunter x Hunter was able to get a little bloody at times, which is what makes it so much more darker than Last Airbender. Although I could go more, but basically, it's like Last Airbender, but just a bit more PG-13. People died brutally sometimes, and that's the major difference, I guess. But Gon is there, always there, to make it feel like we're still in a kids show. Except that one time Gon felt defeated after that whole badge debacle, but I mean, that was really excellent character development. I was obsessed with the Zoldyck family arc. Assassins are just my thing, and the whole family and their property and their employees had a distinct culture within the land's walls, and it was fun to learn about. This was followed by Gon and Kaluuya's Heaven's Arena experience. This is when we learned about Nen and auras and stuff. This concept helped explain Hisoka's abilities a bit more, and it also helped Gon level up as well, which he already did when he trained to open the Zoldyck door in that arc. But it also made Hisoka's level of power look attainable as well. There was a moment in Gon's arc when he became obsessed with training, and it made the teacher believe he was creating a monster out of Gon by teaching him Nen, given that he was gaining a lot of power really fast. I don't know, I think Beast Mode Gon would be a lot of fun to watch. Didn't really get that in the series, so I'm wondering if the remake touches on it a bit more. Heaven's Arena also played the part as filler, build up to York New City. It was a build up to the York New City auction, which unfortunately the original anime ends on. Now, the whole auction arc was intense. We finally see the spiders in action, even seeing Kaluuya's father and grandfather on the job because of it. All really epic. But then it just ended. And I was disappointed. So many arcs were left incomplete. Gon's dad and Kurapika's Scarlet Eyes quest were not even close to being complete. And it's like how I felt at the end of Evangelion and Berserk. I enjoyed all three animes every second, completely engulfed and memorized up until the final moments or episodes. However, from my understanding, the remake goes further than the original, at least twice as long it looks like, so I'm already making plans to watch it. I'm actually really excited to watch the remake. Hunter x Hunter has already proven itself to be a great story with wonderful characters, and the original just left me craving so much more. Sound of Music. Growing up, The Sound of Music was an integral part of my childhood. I'd visit my grandmother every weekend, and we must have watched the movie every visit for as long as I can remember. When I was in choir in elementary school, I was one of the few kids that already knew all the words to Do Re Mi and Favorite Things that year we performed them. Edelweiss and Sound of Music are also amongst my favorites, although every song is really good. And I should mention that the top thing on my bucket list is to travel to Salzburg and splash the horse fountain that Julie Andrews splashed during the confidence sequence. This movie made me fall in love with Salzburg. I don't just want to splash the fountain, I want to see the whole city. The countryside is beautiful, and the architecture, especially in the church, is stunning. I know the musical is slightly different from the original story of the real-life Von Trapps, but either way, both the real story and its adaptation are great stories to explore. While there are some deep dramatic moments throughout, given the Nazi climate, this movie has its funny moments. Julie Andrews and Christopher Plummer worked really well together during comedic moments.
Do you mean to tell me that my children have been roaming about Salzburg dressed up in nothing but some old drapes?
Mm-hmm. And having a marvelous time.
Favorite line in the whole film. And I'm definitely made the
"It's been so cold lately, they turn blue"
reference a few times when eating blueberries. I'd probably cite all the musical numbers as my favorite scenes, and the dance sequence, the Leander, that was steamy. I mean, Christopher Plummer was hot and Julie Andrews is an angel. Remember last time when I talked about Pride and Prejudice? Remember when Elizabeth was like, yeah, dancing is the way to show affection? Bro, the affection between Georg and Maria and their dance was astronomical. Their wedding was gorgeous. These days, I tie the wedding scene to that time Andrews returned to walk down the church to reminisce about the anniversary, during the anniversary special. I've also grown to appreciate Maria's arc as a whole as I've grown up. She was an outcast that followed every rainbow till she found her dream, and as I'm in the process of doing the same, I relate to her story much, much more than I did as a kid. And I feel like I can't talk about Julie Andrews enough. She takes my breath away. This is definitely her greatest and most iconic role. Of course, her entire career is magnificent, but there is just something about her portrayal as Maria that stands out. And her voice, I could write a thesis as to why I love her. In fact, I've mentioned her before as Star of the Week in this podcast. To be in her presence would leave me deceased. She is an absolute queen, and I cannot express this enough. George Clooney is an actor literally everybody knows, but it has recently occurred to me, I know nothing about this man's career. Like, I can't think of many movies of his that I've actually have seen, and it's shocking to me because I feel like I have, but I haven't, other than Spy Kids. So, let's learn about George Clooney together. George is just a boy from Kentucky. Well, maybe not just a boy. Apparently he and President Abraham Lincoln share ancestry, so that's kind of cool. And there are other people within his extended family that have also made way in the entertainment industry a little bit. He had the most normal of upbringings, though, all the way through high school, and started college as a broadcast journalism major. He never graduated and was making some sort of living through sales at the time, so how the heck did he end up in acting? I honestly don't know, but he was an extra in a show that was filming in his hometown, and I guess that he just started to explore what else he could do. He wasn't doing bad to start off, as he got a handful of guest appearances on shows like Golden Girls and Roseanne. He had a couple of roles on shows that didn't really last long, but none of that really mattered because in 1994, he broke through with his role as Dr. Doug Ross in the hit television show ER. He was the face of the show all the way through the 90s until he departed the series after I think its 5th season. See, I didn't know one of the biggest movie stars of all time got his start on television. ER actually brought some film opportunities for Clooney with films such as Dusk Till Dawn, One Fine Day, The Peacemaker, and Out of Sight. He was also Batman in that Batman and Robin film, which nobody liked, I guess, but it did give him a chance to cameo as Batman in the latest Flash movie all these years later. A lot of people might throw Clooney in the pool of iconic 90s men, but his real career was all in the 2000s, man. He appeared in films like Leatherheads, Men Who Stare at Goats, Solaris, Intolerable Cruelty, Welcome to Collinwood, Perfect Storm, Burn After Reading, Confessions of a Dangerous Mind, Failsafe, and Thin Red Line, just to name a few. I mostly remember him from his cameos in the Spy Kids movies. I mean, that was my generation. And I'm sure I've seen him in Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? Because my mom used to really enjoy that movie, so I'm sure I've caught many scenes. I've also watched Fantastic Mr. Fox a couple of times, Wes Anderson's first animated film, and I don't know why, but since the film came out, I've always associated Mr. Fox with George Clooney. And yeah. The one thing I feel like everyone probably knows Clooney for is his role in the Oceans trilogy. I feel like I've seen snippets of those films flipping through channels on TV in the past, but I've never seen them all the way through. But I am very much aware that these movies definitely put Clooney on the map, and I'm really excited to watch those films. Clooney also was a part of Good Night and Good Luck and The Monuments Men, both on and off camera. George Clooney gave Oscar-worthy performances in the films Up in the Air, Michael Clayton, and Syriana, winning his first Oscar ever with Syriana. Some notable projects leading up to present day include Ticket to Paradise, The American, Tomorrowland, Money Monster, The Descendants, and The Ides of March. Of course, we all remember him and Sandra Bullock from the viral film Gravity, and he was part of the film Hail Caesar along with the rest of the incredible ensemble cast of that film. On top of acting, George Clooney has also had a fairly strong presence behind the camera. He has been the producer and executive producer for dozens of films like Argo, August Osage County, Our Brand is Crisis, Scanner Darkly, Syriana, and the first Spy Kids film. He was the director of Confessions of a Dangerous Mind. He wrote and directed Good Night and Good Luck. He directed and produced for Leatherheads, The Midnight Sky, The Tender Bar, and Boys in the Boat. He was director, producer, and writer for the films The Ides of March, Monuments Men, and Suburb Icon. Fun fact, Clooney is currently one of 4 people to have been nominated for Academy Awards in 6 different categories. The others being Walt Disney, Alfonso Cuarón, I never know how to say his name, Alfonso, and Kenneth Branagh. He might have been titled the sexiest man alive, but that in no way downplays his talent or any incredible accolades his talents have earned him. 2005 was a big year for Clooney as he was nominated as a director and screenwriter for Good Night and Good Luck, but he was also nominated for his role in Syriana, which was his first Academy win. He was also nominated for his roles in Michael Clayton, Up in the Air, and The Descendants, as well as another screenwriter nomination for The Ides of March. He also won an Oscar for Argo as producer when the film won Best Picture. He also won a BAFTA for the same role and film, which was his only BAFTA win out of 9 nominations. He has won 4 Golden Globes out of 13 noms, 4 SAG Awards out of 13 noms, and has had 3 Emmy nominations. Yeah, I gotta jump on the George Clooney hype train. I feel like I know him and I like him. But again, I've seen none of his movies, and I really should. George Clooney is undoubtedly a Hollywood icon and will always be remembered as such. What have I been doing all this time?